Yo, listen.
Yeah. That 806 The Show episode come out.
Yo, what's good? It's the 806 Show. It's your boy Jiggy.
Dímelo, Jesse.
Are you tired of these whack radio commercials? Go.
Hey, this is Evelyn, and you're tuning in to the 806 Show.
Shout out 806 The Show.
Talk to me nice.
Tune in every Thursday to the 806 Show.
Yo, 806 The Show.
Shout out to 806 The Show.
At the 806 Show.
806 The Show.
Hey, this is Sol Maria. You're now listening to 806 The Show. Survive.
806.
You already know what it is. It's your boy Melly Mel, and this is the best damn sports podcast, period. This is 806 The Show. We got a fantastic show for y'all today. We have a Salem Hoop legend in the building with us today.
Hell yeah.
But first, the co-host. My co-host to the left applied to Harvard, but was denied.
Why?
Because the job of head basketball coach was unfortunately already taken. Make some noise for Ari G.
What up, y'all? Next time.
Next
I'll
time.
find something somewhere else.
Somewhere. And my co-host to the right, his alter ego of Pepe Picante will be a playable character in the new Mortal Kombat movie. I mean, video game, not movie.
Either way.
Make some noise, Vicente.
Pepe Picante will return.
We'll return soon.
The mustache and the sombrero. I don't have a sombrero.
Well, now you have to get one. See, Josh, like, now I have to buy one because you said that. I don't even
They're here. Like the alternate costume.
And our special guest, if you would look up in the dictionary, Salem High point guard. This man is the first person that comes up to mind. 1,000-point scorer.
Let's go.
And Salem High basketball legend, Harvard grad, Eric Groszyk. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome.
That was a good intro, right?
That was good. Yeah.
Welcome to 806.
Welcome to 806 Show.
Yeah, this is great.
Hey, 806.
So first, before we get to, we're gonna go to Celtics time. We're gonna get to your career, but I have a confession to make.
Let's hear it.
So obviously, you, Pache, that team was on a short list. When we started this show, was on a short list of players we wanted, because our 806 show is all about giving flowers to our hometown legends and our sports athletes. So he was on a short list of people. Obviously, we're in this is episode 84, so it took a little while, and that's completely my fault. Because I went, finally, I was like, you know what, I think it's a good time to, I saw Eric at P2P, we'll get to that, and I think it's a good time to finally hit him up and invite him to the show. And when I checked to go DM him, he has already hit me up 2 times to be on the show.
How you missing?
That's the first thing I said to him. I'm like, bro, my bad.
Yeah. How do you miss that?
That was my fault. So I am the reason that he hasn't been on the show. But you're here now.
I was nominating myself.
He was.
No, you deserve.
I even made the one. I remember I was like, "Yo, who do you guys want to see on the show?" He replied like, "Me."
I was like, I want to go on.
Me.
This looks fun.
Yeah, right.
Never responded. Never. I didn't see it though. You didn't see the scene.
It goes into like some other folder.
Yes, I don't know what it was,
but
but we got you here now.
That's all that matters.
So before we get into your illustrious basketball career, Celtics made a big move.
Big moves.
Absolutely.
My favorite.
A couple days ago. The move that if you've watched the show, we've been wanting
Yeah.
for a while. Celtics got themselves a real true point guard
Yeah.
Who also plays defense.
who also plays defense in Drew Holiday.
Right.
So before we let these guys go in, Eric, what is your views and your opinion? I know you told me when we were talking you have a love-hate relationship with the Celtics.
Yeah.
Do you hate them now?
No, I love him. I love the move. It was interesting. I read Brad Stevens said that they've been trying to get him, meaning getting Holiday, since he was coaching. So they obviously had him on a target list or whatever. But for all the reasons you mentioned, I think it's a great pickup, and he's a champion, man. So he's someone in that locker room. I think Derek White was maybe the same, but he's won a championship, and he's been where they're trying to go. So
A veteran.
Absolutely.
A real veteran.
Veteran with a ring.
So we can forget about Marcus now? Like Marcus who?
still hurts.
It still hurts. It's forever gonna hurt because
It's not.
he bled green.
We won a championship this season. We won't even remember.
But Drew Holiday's a great
He'll become
replacement.
Tony Allen. Like, we love Tony Allen, but when he left and we who cares now?
Did we get a ring with Marcus?
No.
No.
Still. Marcus is still that dude. I'm always wish we still had him. But Drew Holiday, because not as a starter. I never wanted him to be that point guard starter. I wanted him to be that role player off the bench, a great six man, and that was his role that I wanted to see him. But Drew Holiday is like the player I've been like talking about for like the past.
He fits
same thing.
perfectly.
Like Brad Stevens.
5 years I've been trying.
He
to
literally
It's been like
fits
5 years. I'm
perfectly.
like, you know what's the perfect puzzle piece to this team?
And I think it's
Drew
literally
Holiday.
you can't think of a better replacement to Marcus Smart than Drew Holiday. I can't think of a better player,
Especially right now.
obviously not counting the super elite. Like,
Of course, but
obvious,
a player that will fit this team, and the fact that I trust Drew Holiday way more than Marcus. Marcus
His
takes some
decision
shots. I'm
making.
like, and he goes in. I'm like, all right, well, okay, good tomorrow. But I always cringe when he pulls up a three or the game winner goes to Marcus.
He's streaky.
Yeah.
Marcus was very
He's
streaky.
very streaky. Even though he's gotten way better since we first started, I understand that. But Drew, I automatically have way more faith in.
I agree.
sure.
I feel the same way. I think they tried to bring in Brogdon to maybe address some of those issues. That didn't work. Injuries aside, he had a 50-point. I mean, Holiday had a 50-point game last year. Like,
Did he really?
he can score.
Yeah.
When Giannis was out, he was kind of carrying the offensive load, and Middleton was out too. He can play, but he doesn't have to score. He doesn't have to have the ball.
Right.
He's super savvy.
I'm afraid that we're gonna treat him like Boston fans. Like if he starts off a little slow or something,
Oh, the
Boston
media, the
fans are
Boston
gonna,
media.
yeah, gonna get on him.
They're so rude
and
sometimes.
drive him out like every point guard we've ever had.
Yeah.
The Kembas,
You gotta
the
have
Kyries,
the
to the
blinders on and just focus on the
easy.
championship.
Not easy.
He ain't.
Boston cares
He old.
nothing. It's not like we're a big like entertainment town or like a movie town. All we care about is sports.
Yeah.
So you can't go to the grocery store without
So-
a fan running up to you, be like, "Yo, Drew,
This the guy we
wide
got rid
open
of.
three yesterday. What was that?"
This the guy we got rid of for Rob Williams.
Yeah.
What about my guy Porzingis though?
Yeah.
How are we feeling about this?
Porzingis.
What
He's-
Porzingis? Stay healthy. You stay healthy,
That's
amazing.
That's the only thing I'm worried
biggest
about.
question.
I think it's gonna be good pickup for us.
As long as he comes in here not thinking he's going to be the star,
I don't think you can come
I
in
think
here.
he doesn't need to be. I think that's
Yeah.
the thing. He's had higher workload, higher usage. If
Yeah,
if that's lower this year, he's a third, fourth option maybe.
perfect.
So, yeah, space the floor.
Yeah.
Because when he
Clog
went
up
to,
the lane.
went to
He
Dallas,
can
that
get
was the
rebounds,
problem with
too.
Luka. He wanted the
Totally.
ball more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
Luka's like, it's literally
You're
my
also
team.
like you're betting on Porzingis. You got rid of Rob Williams. It's Porzingis and
Al Horford.
Theo, Al Horford. We love you, but
So
you're getting
but
old.
He is old. He is
You know
old.
what I mean? We love you, but like, you
He
know what I mean? Those knees and that back.
Yeah, I love
So that was our big man. We signed that whatever that guy was. I forget his name. He was on the Lakers like practice squad or whatever.
Talking about-
We just signed somebody, some big man, I don't know.
7-footer,
some
Oh,
guy.
okay. Young?
Yeah.
young, but I don't.
Robert Williams 2.0, another project
Robin Williams played great
for
when he
15
played.
minutes a game.
I know.
That's the problem. So him and Ayton, I feel like it's going to be the
wanted
same
him
situation
long
over there.
term. I saw like great potential in Robert Williams.
yeah.
I thought he could.
Yeah.
If he stayed healthy.
But if you can't play, I hate the fact that everything now is if he stays healthy.
Yeah,
no
but-
matter what player you name now, like, oh, it'd be great, a super team if he stays healthy. like the Clippers. The Clippers are a super team if they stay healthy.
Clippers will never stay healthy.
I mean,
the
I
whole,
agree.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah,
but it took Embiid a couple years.
it's true.
Yeah, the
You
process.
never know. You know,
You hear what Kawhi said about the new rule?
Yeah.
He's like, yo, they asked Kawhi, what are you going to do? Do the NBA rule? You have to play 60 games. He's like, no NBA rule is going to make me play more games. It's like, all right, Kawhi. all right, bro.
I
Like,
get what he's trying to say.
He says,
though.
I get it, but it's
I'm
just
gonna play
like,
when I play. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's like,
it's
if I don't want to play, I'm not going to play.
depend-
That's what I heard. I read between the lines.
Depending on my health.
I heard is if I don't want to play, I'm not going to play. That's what I
That's not
heard.
what I-
That's not-
I
that's not
feel
what
like the
it is.
rules are written a little bit in a way that they're kind of easy to get around, maybe.
Yeah.
Because
Sure,
they
there's-
have like all these qualifications and conditions
Right.
about how many years the guy's been in the league, and
Yep,
True.
which works out for LeBron.
yeah, they're gonna find their
Like,
ways
if you're
around
38, you're fine.
Yeah.
Oh, word. One player.
Yeah,
LeBron.
one guy.
That rule was made for LeBron James.
Yeah, right.
It's like him and Al Horford. It's the only people.
But I feel like Kawhi is really just saying like, depending on how my body and health
He's
is,
saying, I don't care. I'm going to do whatever I want.
like this rule is not going to change how healthy I am.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
I think from the owner's perspective, some of those guys are just going to pay it, Right? I think they look at the players as assets. They want to protect the players' health as much as some of the players do.
Yeah.
I think it varies team to team, organization to organization. But I can see some of those owners just eating the fines too.
Especially the Clippers, since he's a billionaire.
Yeah, the first one that comes to mind.
Watch a spike in injuries too. These players playing a lot more than they ever.
I
did.
think if they want to sit, they're gonna sit.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, family emergency.
Yeah.
Pull that card.
We're gonna start calling out like we call out from our work.
Yeah, exactly.
Get doctor's notes and stuff. Like that's what's gonna happen.
It's their job, It's a job to them too.
How do you feel about the new tournament?
Dude, I love it. I love the playing games. The playing games to me are some of my favorite basketball of the year.
True.
I'll be honest. I'll get this out of the way. I'm not a huge college basketball fan. Huge NBA fan.
Got it.
Like to me, that first round of the NBA playoffs is better than March Madness.
Really?
Yeah, when you're watching like 3 or 4 quality games a night,
Okay.
Oh yeah, okay.
there's nothing like it. I think the playing game adds something to that, and then the in-season tournament, I'm expecting something similar. So I want to go.
The in-season tournament
I
is
do too.
if the NBA players take it serious, it could be good. If they just take it as regular season games, like whatever, then it's just the regular season games.
What's the incentive? It just
Money. I like when
it's $1 million.
LeBron's like, thanks.
They're already.
No, let's
Okay, I can pay $55 million this year.
I don't know this, but I would assume that a lot of the NBA contracts have a bonus for making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I want to think that's what's going on with some of those play-in games is you see guys kind of playing for that bonus a little bit. I don't know how the new CBA is, but I do wonder if like some of those guys who are further down the roster, if they're going to get more minutes in some of those tournaments or situations, like that money is meaningful to them. I don't know. This is just me speculating.
That's true.
Coming up with my own theories. Yeah.
All right.
Probably work out better. For
Will
them.
they use their best players in this? What will you like? Is this an opportunity?
How bad do you
that
want
you
it?
can sit Kawhi?
Kawhi's gonna sit
No,
regardless.
like, it's like, oh, this is a good time for you to sit.
Right.
These
like-
don't count as the regular season.
Or like
right?
cut half his minutes. So it's like you're load managing and you're getting the rest people their opportunity. Especially because during the season, it's really about your bench players getting more comfortable into the rotation. Because once the playoff starts, you're playing 8 guys.
Less,
That's
yeah.
it. Less. That's it.
You never see them again.
Yeah.
Where was Pritchard? I didn't see him the whole playoffs. Huh?
My boy's still on the team. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
You might get some minutes. I don't know. I'm hopeful.
I'm
You're
a big fan.
Why not?
Big fan of pitchers.
All right.
I like the
You
confidence.
know who else we're a big fan of? Our special guest right here.
There we go.
Let's go.
Let's get into it. Celtics, listen, we have the rest of the whole season inside. We're going to talk about the Celtics
Non-stop.
non-stop for the next like 6 months. But all right, let's dial it back all the way to the beginning.
In
First,
the beginning.
where did the love of basketball originally come from?
Oh, for sure, my father.
Okay.
Yeah, my father, he played at Merrimack a couple of years.
Oh, nice.
That was back in the 60s. Believe it or not, I back in the day, people knew this about me. But if you go to the home where I grew up in Crowder Street up in Witchcraft,
Shout out Witchcraft.
Shout out Witchcraft.
shout out
Craft
Witchcraft.
Heights, you know,
Yeah.
he had the backyard paved. So
Oh,
there's
okay.
like a half court, less than not even a half court, but that's in the backyard. And we always had a hoop there, you know, so I have memories of being
I
4
might
or
have
5
dunked
years
on
old
it.
out there.
I might have done.
Did you really?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
might
might
have. I'm just saying, if it was a little low when we were younger, we used to go around the area
all the time.
Because I'm from the same area, so we'd go around with a basketball, like dunk it, and just run to the next
Rogue dunks.
Every time. Every
Now we
time.
would be jumping into random pools. We just be dunking on random hoops.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that hoop! It's down and it looks good.
Yeah, nice.
Man, we didn't have
good- it was
basketball
good
hoops and shit in our backyard, bro. Those times are hard.
Yeah,
Dunking was hard.
we grew up, and you know, he played at Salem High, so we would go to Salem High games. You know, I have memories of going seeing Scooney at the Boston Garden at that time.
Okay.
Nice.
He played on the same team as Scooney.
No, he played, you know, decades before
okay,
that,
yeah.
but he stayed connected, and he
Yeah.
was always, you know, he was a huge fan of basketball. We'd be going
Right.
all over the state to go watch basketball. And then we would actually go see, when I was like elementary school towards middle school, Salem State was like a powerhouse.
Yeah.
I know when you had Coach Doyle on, he kind of talked a little bit about that. But I grew up, you know, I was at the game, I think he had like 10 or 11 threes.
Ooh.
You know, so.
You had the game with Doyle had 10, 11
Yeah,
threes?
yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
my dad
This is
used
like
to take
deeply
me.
rooted Salem.
This is deep. Yeah,
Basketball.
Yeah. That's why I'm here. I feel like there's a history here.
All right,
and I'm
this, is
trying to,
what,
like-
this is what you're here for, sir.
I'm trying to
love
keep
it.
this alive.
Yeah, 100%.
So, you know, we and same like Pat Shea, Pat O'Donnell, other guys, we used to go to those Salem State camp. We used to go watch Coach Doyle. I mean, not just Coach Doyle, but the team was great.
yeah,
They were like a
right.
national power. their head coach, I think, had a short coaching stint in the NBA. Like, it was good basketball. And my dad would take me to every home game. And I remember sitting like front row, you know, like right there on the court, because it's D3. There's like, you know, some games there's a couple hundred people there, even for a great team. And, you know, I was just sitting there absorbing it. My dad, we would talk about the game, analyze the game even at a young age. So that was kind of our thing, our routine, and it just blossomed from there. Like, I think any camp was in the air. Like, Endicott had a camp, Beverly High had a camp, Salem High had a camp. My dad was sending me, and I was just trying to learn. And, you know, he instilled in me in a young age, like, listen to your coaches, you know, think about what you're doing on the court, try to be aware of what's going on around you. And I think a lot of those we talked about being a point guard, you know, like a true point guard. And a lot of those lessons he was instilling in me at like 6, 7 years old.
That's dope. So you mentioned Pache, who is a 806 The Show alum. Pastor Pat.
Yeah, right.
Pato and Danny Frazier, you didn't mention. You guys literally, what we got from Pache, you guys literally pretty much played together from
5th grade, 6th grade, yeah.
6th grade. So you're getting to Salem High. You're finally at Salem High. Again, this is the court you went to your dad to watch games and stuff. Freshman year, you were a 4-year starter, right?
I did. I think I maybe started 1 or 2 games freshman year. But yeah, played varsity. Can I back it up like
Go ahead.
a couple years?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's part of the history too. Is there's 2 guys, Matt Condon and Stephen Hall, and they were teammates of Scooney in high school.
Yeah.
Matt Condon from the rec league, right?
Exactly. So he ran the rec league. He also coached our grade in traveling team. So I don't know how it is now. Back then, Salem High, you know, it wasn't affiliated with the middle school. Any resident of Salem could play on the traveling team. And those 2 guys coached us, and they were teammates of Scooney's. They had state championships. And from the time we were like 6th graders, you know, we were running the same press, running the same plays, running the same
So you already had a Salem High playbook before you even...
Yeah, so we go through this 3 years in middle school, and then we get to the high school, and we sort of know all the plays. We know the press.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Okay.
So it's already ingrained, like even the structure, the way the practices were structured, the fundamentals that we were going to learn in high school, we already had. So we get there, and it's all familiar. So when I was a freshman, it was a guy, Wayne Hanscom. He was the coach.
Yep.
He had been the freshman coach, I think, when Rick was there. Maybe he was still on the staff when Scooney was there, eventually became the head coach varsity. And he reached out to us as 8th graders. And that's when we, I think the high school season when we were in 8th grade, we went to a couple of the high school practices. We practiced with the varsity.
Oh, right.
We all played in the summer league back then it was at Forest River.
Yep.
So we would play
Legendary.
we played in that summer league, like even going into 9th grade. We were like, by the time we all got to high school.
Oh, they were getting you guys ready.
We were ready.
Yeah.
And then, like, I think part of this story that doesn't often get told, like, I appreciate getting all the love, but, you know, the work that had been done before us to kind of get the program back to relevance, because there had been some down years after Scooney, you know, Jack O'Brien, he ended up going to Charlestown. The program, I think, needed a couple years to recover. That brings us to like the early 2000s. There's guys, I think Alex Howell. I'm trying to think of the rest of the names. Gusti, Jeff Martinez.
Gusti. Shout out Gusti.
Gusti was one of the counselors at the Boys and Girls Club when we were kids, and we would like try to all of us would try to challenge him one-on-one as young kids. And like it was huge if you beat him. It was like, because of course he wasn't always trying. He was like, but it was a big deal. Shout out Gusti.
Yeah, so those guys were in high school when we were in middle school, and it was like, you know, they were bringing the program back kind of to relevance and competing with, because back then the league was, I mean, I'm sure it's still decent, but back then the league was different teams. Yeah. You know, the Northeastern Conference was pretty stacked.
Yeah.
And they were bringing it back to relevance. So like a lot of that groundwork was already there when we got to freshman year. Yeah.
We should start doing that now. Just keep kind of like, this is the whole system.
So I mentioned Jack O'Brien. So he was going down to Providence College. When he was the Salem High coach, he was going down to Providence College when Rick Pitino was the coach. Oh, so the Salem High press, which later, you know, he instilled in Charlestown, the press, the spread offense, the dribble drive, all of the drills we did in practice were taken from Rick Pitino.
Wow.
So this is like the lineage.
That's dope.
And you guys saw me at P2P.
Yeah.
I'm watching Salem kids out there, and, you know, they're shooting the pull up from the foul line. They're jump stopping in the lane. I'm like, this is what they saw Rick Pitino teaching 30 years ago. and there's still kids on the park in Salem doing these moves. Like
Crazy.
it's crazy.
Yeah, right?
I'd love to see it, honestly.
I feel like we should just step back. Just sit back and like, go ahead.
What's the next question?
I don't think I have to ask any questions.
No, but that's a crazy gem right there. Just like the
Yeah, that
fact
was
that
dope.
like the whole system is like based off of like Rick Pitino's.
And the fact that you guys not only played together, but you grew together. You learned the system. You already had it laid out. So by the time you got to high school, excuse me, time you got to high school, it wasn't like everybody else is trying to learn the system. You already got it.
Yeah.
So you can easily just. You said you didn't start every game freshman year, but the fact that they had, you can go right now. You already know it. You already know it. It's easy.
Yeah, and I think it was, for me, that adjustment being a freshman. You think about it. I'm 14. There's kids who are out there 18. Right? There's just a physical difference. But in terms of thinking the game and understanding where I needed to be or positioning, I had to adapt. But a lot of that was I was already bringing that to the table.
So the first 2 years, the freshman and sophomore year, we're gonna cut your high school, and obviously there was a coaching change junior year. So we'll go with the first coach, and then the first 2 years. How well did you guys do?
We were good. So I think there's also this other aspect of where in Salem, I think this is true of a lot of sports in Salem, but basketball especially, like successes in championships, like Northeastern championships, but really state championships. Like we measure time. It was Rick's years, Scooney's years. We're still waiting on that next.
There's only two jerseys on the wall.
Yeah, there's 2 jerseys on the wall, and you got to get a championship. So
that's what I said. Because they had an argument with me. They was like, "Oh, we had no players." I'm like, "You have to win a state title to get a jersey up on the wall." That's like,
what's it up there for? If not that?
So he's good. No, he's not a champion.
We need more.
They need more state championships.
Makes sense.
So we were like, I forget what we were my freshman. I think like around 14-6, which is a really good record. But I think there was this sense of like, hey, we're trying to go to the next level.
Yeah.
At that time, Lynn English was probably the best team in the league. They had a guy, Dwight Brewington, who's I think he might have played at Providence actually, or Liberty. But Lynn Classical was really good. And then I think my sophomore year, kind of Swampscott was the team who was picked to win it, and they're again really, really good team.
Not bad. So how'd you personally? I know the team was really good, but like again, even though you've been playing in the system, the plays. This is still a higher level. How did you do personally those couple of years, the first couple of years?
Transition to
transition. Yeah. So this is another thing I tell people about. Like I've been talking, being back in the area after better part of a decade away. It comes like a lot of these conversations have been coming up recently. And I tell people like those guys who are 5-6 years ahead of me, I remember playing at the YMCA. I don't know if you guys remember the old Y, but it's got 2 courts. They're tiny.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about that. But like, I remember the little kids were downstairs in the court where you couldn't shoot from the corner.
Yeah. The track.
Yeah, and then there was like the big court, which was still tiny.
Yeah.
It was like upstairs in the ballroom. And that's where the high school kids would play. And it was like, I remember kind of like being in this stage of life of like working up the courage to go up there.
Yeah.
Because like those dudes were mean, man. They didn't want a little kid out there.
No, absolutely. You have to earn your
You definitely have to earn like playing with the big guys,
Yeah, and they would push you. They would push you down. They would shove you. They would foul you. Like they weren't about to just like take it easy on a little kid. So I remember those years, and then like kind of getting to high school, and this is like, you guys see me today. Like I'm not like some sort of physical specimen that just came through the door. Like, I wasn't any bigger in high school, So for me, it was just like, how do I take what I have, the skills I have, and contribute in some way? And I think for me, like freshman year especially, it was just about learning and trying to absorb what I could from the older guys. And one thing that Coach Hanscom always preached was like not trying to do too much. And simple. Keep it simple, man. Just like, not too many dribbles, not over dribbling, not over penetrating.
That easy
not
pass.
Trying to make an easy pass.
Make the right play.
And just be someone that the coach can trust to put in. Like, I think that's something that younger kids have a hard time grasping still is like, can the coach trust you to be on the floor? Can you get an assignment, whether it's defensive, offensive?
I actually noticed that they're not afraid enough of making turnovers.
Yeah.
They're down to make that
turnover
risk.
inflation, dude.
Like, they don't even care. If I make the turnover, whatever, they'll try.
They want the highlight.
But it's just like, bro, ball security is like...
Yeah. And
Usually, who wins a turnover game usually wins the game.
Absolutely.
it was more chances. You know, I think that's like how I think. Like you guys saw me coaching down there, and I guess like every coach, just an old guy who's pissed about turnovers. Like, I'm like, we're giving them extra chances.
We were announcers, and it was hard. They had to check me a couple times because I forget that I'm supposed to be like, oh, just this is a great game, great kids. But I'm like rashing on these kids. Look, these kids are just like, oh, here, another Euro step. Here comes another year. Like it's just like, dude,
turnover.
I never want to see another Euro step ever again in my life after P2P. Shout out Koki, shout out the league, awesome. We just had him last week. He knows I love him. But the Euro step, I'm tired of it's the go-to move to every player, every kid.
Yeah. Now when I drive, I don't know what else to do. Everybody falls for this, right?
The kids are doing it. Might as well.
Yeah, might as well adapt.
Turnovers drove us crazy too. It wasn't just you, trust me.
Yeah. So, and then, freshman year, like I said, it was Coach Hanscom. And I give him a lot of credit because, like I said, he looked at me, he looked at Danny, he looked at some of these other guys, and I think he saw something.
He saw the potential.
Yeah, that other people probably wouldn't have recognized.
Right.
And I think he had seen so many, by that time, he had seen a couple decades of kids come through the program. So he could kind of map our trajectory, and he knew he had something. And so sophomore year, all four of us were on varsity, and we all started most of that year. So, and it's like the guys who were on the team that year as seniors: Lonzo Houston, Alex Duran, Jomar Fuentes, Orlando Jimenez. If there's others I'm missing, I'm sorry, but they weren't about to just let these sophomores come in and start.
Of course.
So those battles were, those practices were battles, those are tough dudes, and
those are the best kind of basketball. Really, practice it's way harder in practice than it is in game.
Everybody should be.
Iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah, and I think that, having that experience, and it was the same thing when I was a freshman of seeing some of those guys battle for starting positions, fist, like, dude, I'm 130 pounds, and I'm watching these two guys fist fight over a jump ball. I'm just going to keep out to the perimeter.
Just spot up right here. It's fine.
Yeah, but all the credit to Coach Hanscom for kind of seeing that in us and really fostering it. And like, I can say this now, we were playing full year. He had us down at High Street in the summer. Like to him, it was about not just developing us as basketball players, developing us as leaders and men and people in the community. So he put a lot of time into.
From what I remember of being in the stands and watching y'all didn't. We're gonna lead on because this is like I said it to Pat Shea too. You guys were rock stars back then. You're literally
it felt like it, dude.
No, because literally they would again. I didn't like to pay for games, so I was there to the JV game. And they would walk in, Jordan jumpsuit out, gym bag swagging.
I almost wore it tonight. I looked at my class. I can't.
Nick Lanier's first episode.
Nick Lanier's first episode. We made him bring all the jumpsuits. We were all wearing his jumpsuits. And it was just like, do you have the jumpsuits? He's like, I have every one. Let me know. Let me know which one you need.
Yeah.
But no, what I noticed back then is how mature. You guys didn't look like high schoolers. You literally looked
we didn't play like high schoolers.
No, at all. You literally look like grown men. We're coming here. They're going to win by 25. We're going to have a good time. We're going to talk shit to the other team.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun. And it happened every time.
You guys were definitely like I said this in Pat Shea's episode, but you guys were the first hoopers I even like met.
You knew of.
People heard of, people talking about it. And I was just a kid, like, who's Eric Groszyk? Who's Pat Shea? Like Danny Frazier. I always hear about it, especially being around people like Nick Lanier, and like
because we were friends with the next class, the people who were like were coming next. So we saw
these guys are nasty.
And obviously they're like, we could be better than them. We're that. You know what I mean? Obviously he's a competitive guy.
Gallows every day trading.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you guys know where to find me. I'll be in the downstairs gym at the Y.
Right. Trying to get courage to go upstairs still. All right. So before junior season, you guys had the coaching change.
Yeah.
Coach old Tommy Doyle.
Tom Doyle.
Well, you mentioned it. It's like, Doyle was that in my mind. I don't know if you guys know Tony Mataragas.
Yes.
His son plays in P2P, But
Yes,
he came
yes,
up.
yes.
He came.
Yes, he does.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes,
But
yes.
he played at Salem High. He played with Rick. He's a lefty. He was a shooter. He went to Salem State. And I remember, I don't know if he like transferred or he enrolled like later in the season. But in my mind, this was like bigger than the Celtics getting Drew Holiday. Was like Tony Matarakis is going to Salem State. Like that's the level that I worship
dope.
these dudes.
That's
at.
dope.
And then I got to talk to him.
Gotta get
after
him
a
on.
game.
I see him all the time too.
Get him on because I think he has a training program too.
Yeah,
I wish
yeah.
I could shout out the name, but
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll shout it out.
yeah. So
Some
I mean,
point.
to have Doyle be the coach was just it was. There's all this heartache, because obviously I had this close relationship with Coach Hanscom. I still, he's someone I still talk to.
Yeah.
I try to talk to once a year, but it did soften things that it was going to be Coach Doyle and all the history he brought. He was someone, he was a teacher at the school, so I had him in class.
Salem boy.
Salem guy.
Born and bred, yeah. Legacies.
Yeah, right. These are a
Yeah.
lot of deeply rooted Salem legends right now. Like if you
Yeah.
think about it, like from the beginning, from like because our parents came from DR, so there isn't no like.
You know what I mean?
But
We're the first generation.
it's cool that you guys have parents that played in the Salem program in the past. I think it's pretty ill.
Yeah. And it's the same. I think Coach Doyle's father.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a principal. He was at every practice.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that I don't think gets talked about, I'll talk about it here, is like they were so different. Like Coach Hanscom and Coach Doyle were so different in style,
Really?
and it's like it's hard for me to say. Right, I couldn't say which I prefer, like which is better.
Oh, you don't worry. No.
But like, they were really complimentary in some ways because. I think a lot of what Coach Doyle does is like provide freedom to the players and kind of like everyone's got the green light out there and things felt like a little bit looser and freer, but we were also building on that foundation of kind of discipline and like structure and system that Coach Hanscom had built in. So the timing of it was interesting, and like just to have those two different experiences kind of gives me these perspectives to draw on and think about how do I want to coach kids, or what are the different ways I can approach it.
So I called you guys rock stars because I think that junior season is really when like the gyms were packed with. I think that sophomore year, because I was a year, but I'm 06, so you guys were 05. So I was going a little bit to the games, but like when I was a sophomore, you're a junior, like you're not missing a game. Like that's
dude. It's funny. It's funny you said that about the JV games. I don't know if this is still the case. If people don't know. There used to be like a side door.
Yeah,
people came in and out for practice, and if you got there early enough, that door was still unlocked, right? So you could walk in, or you could just like walk in off the balcony from the hallway.
Yeah. Always.
Oh, absolutely. We know.
So if you look at videos of the JV games, there's like a few hundred people there. Like, it's like got in early. So, we show up and like we're on the floor warming up, and there's already a crowd like kind
It was
of
dope. Music turned on, bumping,
music.
like. Wow. It would come in fresh jump. Those jumpsuits.
You guys had both of the bleachers open.
Well, this was the thing. So, going like when I was in a kid, so before high school, when I was a little kid, that gym was packed.
Yeah.
Right. For Scooney, even years after that, there was still this huge following. There's literally like people up on the balcony. I'm trying to describe for people who maybe never been there.
Yeah.
But there's two sides of huge bleachers. And when we were in middle school, I remember it's like they would have one side out.
Yeah.
And then I think like freshman year, it's like, okay, if it was a boy-girl doubleheader, or if we were playing Beverly, they might bring out both sides because they knew it was like a bigger game.
Yeah.
And like, I remember it was something we would talk about. Like, hey, like if we can keep getting better, this is like sophomores. If we keep getting better, like they're going to open up both sides.
Oh,
you're going to get like, it was like
Like a
something,
goal.
Yeah, it was like a goal we talked about. Like, now this place is going to be packed.
If we start killing it, we're gonna pack this place out.
And like, our grown-ups around us would be like, if you guys are good, it'll happen. Like Salem's a basketball town. People come out for the games. They'll support you guys, but like the product has to be good, kind of.
No, right.
And so sophomore year, I got knocked out during a game. I didn't play for, I think, like that last 8 games of the season.
Yeah.
But I think we had at least one home game in the tournament maybe that we won. And then we ended up losing in like maybe in the second or third round. But I think, the team just matured so much during that time.
Yeah. So when everybody's getting their little growth spurts,
Yeah, exactly.
getting
And like,
more physical and like hitting the gym. And
hitting the weights. The team just started kind of come together. And I think to people outside the program or people who weren't really close to us at the time, it started to become apparent to like other coaches in the league, newspapers and whatnot, that we were going to kind of possibly make that next leap. Now, here's part of the junior year story, is that we weren't favored to win the league. So Swampscott, like I mentioned, they'd won the league our sophomore year, and then they had the whole team back.
Oh, okay.
So, and I think they had their point guard was MVP, right? So he's like, when I was in the gym, like I'm thinking about him, like not to be weird about it, but
That's not weird at all.
It's like in the summer,
Mamba
it's like,
mentality.
Yeah, it's like if we're gonna make the next jump,
You
like,
gotta
I
be
need
better
to be
than him.
better than him. So going into junior year, we knew that Lynn English was going to be good. We knew the Swampscott was going to be good. Beverly was going to be really good. We were going to have Peabody on the schedule twice. Classical, if I didn't mention them. Like, the league was still really, really strong there. Mm-hmm. In a 20-game season, that's 10 games that are going to be, they're going to be really, really tough.
Yeah.
So we went into that junior year, and we just got really hot. I think we dropped one game early to Swampscott. And I think that was the last conference game we lost as a group. So there we go. Yeah, so for the whole rest of that junior year, I'm pretty sure this is true. We were undefeated in the league senior year as well. So we just ran off, I think, something like 20-something, 30 games. I'd be curious to know if how close a team's gotten to that since. But
it'd be cool to pull up all the records. And
I'm just gonna, Doyle, I'm gonna call in some favors, man. I'm gonna pull up before you call it quits. I'm gonna pull up to the office.
Steals in the game.
I'm gonna just give me the key to the information room, and I'll see you in a couple hours.
We need these numbers.
Yeah. So I remember, it's funny because this came up. I was talking to McCullough from LCTV.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was asking about the Suns offense, and it was weird he brought that up because Coach Doyle used to literally put 7 seconds on the shot clock, and we'd play 5-on-5, 7-second shot clock up and down. And you get the rebound to get a shot off in 7 seconds.
You gotta go.
You're going up the sideline, and someone's just firing after 2 or 3 passes. But I remember there'd be moments of games where we were playing like that. Like we were playing against whether it be Beverly or Swampscott.
Yeah.
And I just don't think they were used to the speed. Lynn English, it's like you can't really practice. You can't, unless you play that way, you can't replicate that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, we jump out to these 45, 15 leads, 45 first half.
I'm not gonna lie to you, they were literally slapping
I
teams.
can imagine a full court pressing from the beginning.
No, so Coach Doyle used the press less. With Coach Hanscom, he wanted to press every possession.
Oh, okay.
I watched a video from sophomore year recently where we miss a shot and we're pressing. We're just pressing the whole way, all over. Coach Doyle used it less. I think it was interesting. We were almost entirely man-to-man under Coach Hanscom. That the press was kind of a matchup man. But Coach Doyle, he liked to use, he would sprinkle in some zone. The substitution patterns were a lot different.
Yeah.
But yeah, just that pace that we were playing with. And I think I developed, Danny made a huge leap sophomore year. And then the way I was able to kind of play with him, I tell people this a lot of time too, is I'm proud of having 1,000 points, but as a point guard, I'm as proud to have played with someone else who scored 1,000 points.
I don't know a lot of backcourts who were
both get
1,000 points.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
It's not a lot, it's not a lot of
So
shots.
you must have had a lot of assists.
Absolutely.
A lot, yeah.
If he's getting 1,000 points as well,
Yeah. So, he had 30 points and a half. You think about that. That's crazy.
That is
16
nuts.
minutes.
Was
wow.
I might be mistaken. Was his 1,000th point a half court?
Half-court shot. I think against Lynn Classic.
Yep.
Wow.
So it's they were our big rival junior and senior year, and they were great. In every game, it just somehow seemed like we would barely beat them by a point, or we'd be trailing the whole game and somehow pull it off. They probably should have got at least one of those games. But here's another crazy thing is when I think my junior year, when we beat Charlestown in the state tournament, we played East Boston in the North Final.
Yep.
On the other side of the bracket, I want to say that Lynn Classical lost to East Boston by a point or two. So it was almost going to be us versus Classical again in the North Final.
Oh, wow.
If they had, and I think they were in a similar situation where they were ahead that whole game and kind of lost the lead at the end. But people, at that time, I had a chip on my shoulder about being from the North Shore. People don't respect our basketball.
It's still a little
put this on the map.
Yeah.
Still, Merrimack people come down here for P2P and have the teams and Salem. But hey, we got some players. The problem now is that if you're good, you're going private right away.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing. They're
leaving the
and you can't blame a kid for doing it, obviously. But
Yeah, I respect it.
back in then, it's like you wanted to be out. You wanted to wear that jersey. You wanted
like
to win in Salem. Now, the minute you're good, they're like, yeah, let's go.
Someone's gonna have to take that sacrifice and just stay.
I wouldn't. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd be out too. Like
it's hard.
Raise my future child. Nope, you're going into public school.
all 4 years. I'm scoring 30 a game, Dad. I don't care.
That's how it is, though.
Teaching them the program from the beginning.
Nowadays, once you score like average 30 your freshman year, like you're gone.
You're gone.
Sophomore year, you're gone. That's it. So I love the fact that you guys all stick together and you were together from the beginning, way before you got
like
there.
Bryson last year. Like we were watching the games and we look at each other like, oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, so I watched a lot of the games on YouTube.
Yeah.
I went back a few times to practice during the season. I was playing with those guys, and it's like his development from, and I hope I'm not embarrassing him by telling this, like his development from the start of the season where it seemed like he was struggling to get a shot off, like, you could kind of push him around a little bit to where
Still
he
young.
is.
Very,
like
sophomore.
now it's insane. Like there's few people who I've seen, and I'm talking about like at any level, develop that quickly.
Oh yeah, he's special.
It's a credit to him. I'm going to show love to Coach Doyle on that too for what the guidance he was giving him. But it's all the luck to him. He's amazing.
Absolutely.
He's definitely.
You mentioned Danny Frazier's 1,000 point. How'd you score your 1,000?
It was at Peabody. I think I was really nervous. I think I missed like my first, it felt like 20 shots.
So
Oh, really?
So going into game, how many? That sucks. Like, so we just had we had Liz from Salem State a couple episodes ago, and she needed like 33 for 1,000, and she scored 33. Like,
wow, yeah. No, it was nothing like that. I think I needed 33, and it took me like 2 or 3 games. Because I didn't like. The truth is,
you're a facilitator.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of huge scoring games, but if you score 15 points a game for
4 seasons.
you're gonna, you'll eventually get there. And I think that's the other crazy thing about Danny scoring, because I'm pretty sure he got to 1,000 before me, and he didn't play freshman year. So it took him like 2.5 years, where it took me like almost all 4.
Hey, but you got there.
But I got there,
I was looking up, like, there's not.
Still got it.
I was gonna write it down. I forgot to. There's less than 10 people in Salem High history that scored 1,000 points.
That's fire.
And when I want to show it because people always forget. Christian Dunston is a 1,000 point scorer, and a lot of people forget that.
So
he is a 1,000 point scorer. Tone has like 1,700, some shit like that. we know. He's like third or second. I think third. Last time I said it wrong, he corrected me. Tone, I'm sorry if I'm getting it wrong. You're second or third. I'm not sure. You're up there, bro. Relax. All right. So you ended up going to Harvard.
Yes.
But before then, I always like to ask, because, I'm assuming you had a few offers from other schools.
I don't see. You're testing my memory. I don't think I did.
Really?
So my recruitment was really weird. So between sophomore and junior year, I got injured in the summer. I sprained my ankle really badly. So I missed like that whole, and that's kind of, at least back then, that was kind of like the big period for recruitment. I mean, I had had interest going back to like probably 8th grade, 9th grade, getting letters, but, and phone calls, but like nothing that serious. And then I got hurt that summer, which really hurt me. And then, junior year, we kind of had the Charlestown win, which was really big. We had the great season. Danny and I shared league MVP.
You shared the league MVP?
Co-MVPs.
The backcourt being that good.
They did a blind vote. I think it was like an anonymous vote, and we somehow tied.
That's dope.
That's awesome.
That is dope.
And then, so that was all junior year. We won the league out of nowhere. I think I was like maybe All Scholastic Boston Globe that year. And then that kind of, I had this AAU season after junior year that was really, really good. We traveled all over. And that's when really it picked up for me. But by that time, Harvard had already kind of like brought me on campus. I was talking to their coaches a lot. And then I had, I forgot. So I played in a tournament, and it's the Boston Shootout. BABC sponsored it. Mm-hmm. And we made our way somehow. We made our way to the championship game against BABC. We beat BABC. at that time, they were the program in New England. Nationally, they were Power 2.
Yeah.
And I got tournament MVP.
Yeah, that'll open up some eyes.
So that was that was a big deal. And then, like a year ago, this guy, Joe 617.
I think I heard of him.
His Instagram account, Joe 617. Hoops historian. Like, if you're out there, Joe, love the content. He's like, he's documenting New England basketball going back like 30, 40 years. But he posted this program from the tournament with Kevin Durant's picture in it.
Really?
So I was going to bring it here to be like, guys, I was MVP of this tournament. And Kevin Durant. But he was just like a little, he looked like a scrawny kid. But
we believe you. You didn't need the evidence. We believe you.
So, but this is like now, and then I think within like 2 or 3 weeks of that, maybe that's shorter, but like not too long after that, that's when everything with Harvard, they were like, okay, we're going to make this happen. And, they set up my application with admissions and all the financial aid stuff. So, it was kind of done. Like, it was before I even got to senior year. It was kind of settled. And
because I remember going. You were like, it was already done. Like, before you even got on the court, like we already knew you were going.
Going to Harvard.
So I remember Salem used to have like all the where people were going to school, and I was like, oh look, Eric, Harvard. Like it stood out. Like obviously at Salem High, someone going to Harvard stands out.
Yeah. It's a little bit.
Yeah. So it just worked out in a weird way with kind of like the setback sophomore year, and then having a really good summer. And I think that's like I hope. I was kind of hoping we'd be able to talk more about some of that stuff, but like if there's guys out there who are, not getting interest or maybe not getting the attention that they think they deserve, like you just got to kind of stick with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, it's like I definitely went through that, like a lot of the frustration and, feeling like, hey, I'm better than this guy. Why is he getting offers? Or, you go to a tournament, you have a bad tournament in front of a coach, and it's like, it feels like that dream's so far away, but you don't know, like, you catch a hot hand the right month, like.
Right. And back then, there was no social media.
There's no videos, no YouTube. There's no
highlight tape isn't out every day.
I had a game that spring where I was matched up with a kid who's at that time he was the number 1 point guard in the country. He was committed to go to Duke, so he's gonna be the next point guard at Duke. And I just had a really good game against him in front of who at that time the guy was like the preeminent scout. He wrote a scouting report that went out to all the college coaches, but I played that game in front of him. I think we lost by like a point or two. They had a 7-footer, Andre Blatch, on that team. He went
Andre Blatch, the Wizards.
So I think he went straight to the league maybe a year after that. Yeah. Right. So we were going to our senior year. Then he went right to the NBA, I think. But we almost beat him. And then I end up in this guy's report of the weekend.
Yeah.
And then Coach Doyle, I think I came into school that Monday and he's like, what happened over the weekend? And I was like, oh yeah, I had a good game. I had a good weekend. We played these kids. This kid's going to that school. This kid's going to Duke. And he's like, yeah, because coach has been blowing me up all morning. And it was like that immediate where this guy between the Saturday and when I played.
One guy saw you and all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's like, he was getting a bunch of calls, and I think that's around the time when like I start to narrow my choices. There were like fewer schools I was talking to, but it was cool, man. It's like it's nice when you're like the prettiest girl.
Was Ivy League pretty much is going to be like?
Yeah,
because obviously you had the grades clearly. Like
for me, like this is another thing I'll tell kids out there. Like I think so many kids get locked into this mindset of like I want to go D1, and that's important. I think you should challenge yourself in that way. Strive, like set ambitious goals. At the same time, like you're probably not going to become a pro. Your life after basketball is going to be way longer than your life playing basketball. Yeah. So like for me growing up, my parents kind of like always framed basketball, contextualized like, hey, this is a tool for you to kind of improve your life. Open up opportunities for yourself, whether it be to travel, make friends, also education. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of kids out there who kind of lock themselves into this mentality of like, I need to have a scholarship or I need to go to whatever conference or whatever school, when really it's like, what's the best opportunity you can create for yourself? And it's not like, I think it's more than you. I think it's your family. I think it's your community. Like, what can you do? You've been given this gift. Like, how can you make that into something bigger? And that for me, that was like definitely true. And the opportunity to go to Harvard, like, so few people get that. It's a dream for so many people. I loved it. Like from the beginning, I loved the campus. Like the coaches, just the idea of going there. And, in some ways it's like there's a competitiveness academically.
Yeah, that's so obviously none of us have seen anything close to a curriculum at Harvard would look like. So no short classes like that.
I don't
So,
like
like,
class of
Obviously for most people who's watching this, probably like you said, so few people go to Harvard. What does freshman semester first look like at Harvard, especially where you're a student athlete?
Yeah, for me it was a unmitigated disaster. I was like I just probably wasn't, if I'm being honest, mature enough to like really understand how to balance. Because like for me, academics was never my focus. Like it was something I did, and like it was instilled in me that I need to do well.
Yeah.
But like I wasn't a kid that was like spending 2 hours studying every night.
Yeah.
So then I got to Harvard, and like it started out okay. And I remember my first few tests, I like, got A's. I'm like, this is easy. And then like the material just started getting way harder. And I was like not ready to make some of the sacrifices. In my mind, like I was there to play sports and like also socialize a lot, and then, do what I needed to do to pass. And it's like I was quickly realizing that what I needed to do to pass was like way more than what I was doing. But I was like quick, it's like for me, it was, and I'm just saying this because I think it might benefit someone. Like they have, like at Harvard especially, but most schools are going to have resources you can tap into. And like, I remember like going to the, they set you up with an academic advisor. Every athlete gets an academic advisor, and they like sign off on your class load, and they kind of help you just navigate the system there. And I remember the first time I met him, he's like, hey, like if you need tutors, if you need whatever else, like we can get that for you, Yeah. And in my head, I'm like, why would I need that? Like, I'll never need that. And then it was like 6 weeks later, I'm like, dude, remember you mentioned we could get tutors? Like, how does that all work?
Help me, please.
Yeah, he's like, how bad is it? I'm like, it's really bad.
I couldn't imagine
I'm sure an academic advisor has gone through it like, oh, watch, he's going to come in, some player think he's hot shot, and he's going to be back in my office in 6 weeks.
Totally.
It's tough balancing being a student athlete. Like, especially to that level, I feel like you just want to put all your time into being a better basketball
100%.
player. And then, but you really have to put so much time into like studying and doing all these homework and all this. So balancing that at that age is like, it's not easy for.
And you mentioned the social aspect of it, and that's another piece.
In the middle of Boston.
You're in the middle of Boston. You are a student
Cambridge.
athlete. Your team's doing well. You are like a face, basically.
Totally.
So it's like everybody wants to hang out with you, and everyone wants to have fun. And you gotta go to that, and same thing like, I got a test tomorrow. I gotta relax, this and that. But you don't really think about that when you're in your younger years, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. They want to be one and done. So they're like, academics doesn't really matter to them. They want to go in, bang out the basketball, be the top guy, and then move on. Well, not everybody can do that.
90% of people.
Someone's trying to graduate.
And a lot of people coasted through high school off of how great they were on the court or the field, and that's not the same thing in college.
Yeah, another thing I will say is like, I think at Harvard, everyone's got to do the work. Like, right? Yeah. Like, it's not. This isn't to disparage other schools. I think, there's different standards everywhere. I think Harvard's probably on the stricter side of it.
Prestigious.
I'd have to imagine.
I would think so.
Yeah, and like, even if you're getting help, even if you're doing your work, as a team or a group, like you still got to turn something in. Like you've still got to, be there and show up and be present.
Put the effort in.
And that was hard for me at first. And like, I haven't said this many times or to many people, but I really like almost failed out. And like the only thing I could think about was like, dude, I can't, no offense to Salem. I was like, I can't go back to Salem. I was like, I can't, like, what I had to do to get here, like whatever it takes to stay here, I'll stay here. And, so there was like all-nighters that first year. And then it just took me time to like understand.
Adjust to it.
To adjust. And like, I'd also never been coached that hard. Like my AAU coach, he was an intense guy. He was in your face. He was yelling. He was calling you names. It's different, but that's like, you have a tournament on the weekend. You play 4 or 5 games. Maybe you see this guy once or twice during the week for a few hours.
Yeah.
You're not spending 40, 50 hours with this guy. You're not like, you know, the intensity of it and the competitiveness, and you're like, just it's another level on so many different planes. So that was my experience. You know, if you're out there, never be afraid to ask for help. That's
No, for sure.
And I'm sure you get asked a lot. You had ended up being a pretty famous teammate there at Harvard.
yeah.
So Jeremy Lin, Sanity Lin.
That sounded so weird.
Yeah,
That's not his middle name?
No.
What? I could have sworn. So obviously, I wouldn't assume you saw. Well, I don't know. I wasn't there. The pro basketball player out of it, but like, how was having Jeremy Lin as a teammate?
Great teammate, great person. So like, it's hard, you know, at this point. It was like over 15 years ago, you know, so it's hard to remember all the detail.
Yeah.
But look, we played UConn, we played BC, and a bunch of others like high level D1 teams, and there were times in those games he was the best player on the court. Like it was it was almost that obvious. And the second coaching staff that we had at Harvard, their pedigree was mostly from Duke. So we had a guy, Tommy Amaker. He came, he took over the program. And he brought a guy with him named Kenny Blakeney, who's the coach at Howard now, Howard University in Washington, D.C.
How about them?
And he had been an All-American. He had won national championships at Duke. And I remember asking him one time during like senior year, like, you know, do you really think Jeremy is like going to be able to play in the NBA? Like, you know, I was like,
I just don't being that good. It's just like,
I was like, you know, because there's all this buzz. You know, he'd had a great career at Harvard, and like even going into like the pre-draft stuff. So like, you know, graduation's happening right around time the NBA drafted. He missed his graduation to go to do pre-draft workouts. I remember asking coach, like, dude, do you think he can really play in the NBA? And he looked at me and he was like, he could be an NBA All-Star. He's like, he could be the starting point guard on a championship team. And I was like, what? Dude, I'm like, we're talking about Jeremy, you know? And I love Jeremy. I thought he was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, he was so good that he would like mess up a college practice. Like everyone at D1 level can play. Like, but it was almost like you couldn't put this dude on the court and expect to like get
Oh yeah.
you know, it was just like he's in every passing lane. He's like driving down the lane and dunking. He's like dropping dimes. You're just like, oh, this isn't, you know, it almost starts to feel unfair. You're like, no, like literally, dude, this is real. Like, no, like I remember practice, people didn't want to match up with him. You know, it's like, no, you guard. Like, I'm done guarding him. You guard. You know, like, it's just, like, he was definitely on that level. I think people understood it. I think there was, like, definitely the politics of it related to his race, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
And just the fact that he, you know, he came from an Ivy League school. Like, when he was a freshman at Harvard, even some of his sophomore year, like, we were one of the worst teams in the country. Like, you know, we were in the bottom quarter, the bottom third or something. And, you know, he eventually, you know, I think Tommy Amaker made a huge difference. He was visionary coach, visionary leader of that program, visionary leader at Harvard. But a lot of it, like, people don't realize that a lot of his success early on was the foundation that Jeremy helped lay. So yeah, I can't say enough good things. It's like, you know, I can be petty sometimes, but I never felt any type of way about Jeremy having the success he did. It's just like, man, if anyone can have that, you know,
right?
I'm glad it's him. Yeah.
You mentioned playing against UConn, playing against these big teams. What was your favorite away court to go play at?
Oh, we played at Chrysler Arena. So I don't know if this was going to come up, but I got an injury sophomore year, and then I got a bad concussion. I had other kind of incidents.
We'll try to keep it positive.
Okay, so we won't go too far into it. So, like,
I don't want to bring up bad memories.
Yeah, my career was like,
I did my research. You know, we're just, you know.
Yeah, it was cut a little short, unfortunately. But it was just, you know, that was a huge learning experience for me. It helped me grow as a person. It just kind of felt like that was what was destined for me in some way and what I needed at that time. Like, you know, I kind of thank God for that experience and the opportunity I found through it. But yeah, I remember like one of my last games, we played at Chrysler Arena, and I grew up
And where is Chrysler?
Oh, that's where University of Michigan played. I don't know if that's still where they play. You know, I kind of, like I said, I don't follow college closely, but it's like, you know, I grew up watching the Fab Five. Like that was one of like my earliest formative memories watching basketball was the Fab Five. My cousin was obsessed with the Fab Five and the shit. You know, he had like the sneakers and the jean or the shorts.
Socks. Yeah.
And I was just like, you know, Michigan was it, and we went and we played Michigan, and I think I made a 3. That was kind of cool. And then, but like some of the, you know, the Ivy League basketball, there's a pretty rich tradition there too. And, you know, some of the away courts there are pretty cool. Yeah. Just because they're very intimate. You know, they're all smaller than like what people probably normally think about college basketball, but, you know, the fans are right on top of you. Yeah. It's intense.
I'm trying to go to more college games.
So I'm a big Duke fan, so I try to catch them at BC.
Yeah.
They come every other year. First of all, getting to BC is a pain in the ass. We got to fix it. It's literally the last train stop in the red line. It's crazy to get there. You think you're like, oh, it's in Boston. There's nothing around BC. Like nothing. Like we were trying to go get a bar, get a food. We had to take an Uber to go somewhere. Like it's nothing. I don't know where I was going with this.
The stadium.
So yeah, we actually had, you know, the coach, like I said, Tommy Amaker, he had played at Duke. He was, if you read Coach K's biography, he was one of the first recruits that Coach K was really, you know, excited about. And he knew that if he got him to go to Duke, he was going to be transformative for that program. And, you know, he was a point guard like me, and he became the coach. I actually had this experience where, like, so I got that concussion. There had been other incidents, and I went and I saw the neurologist that the university recommended me to, and he's just like, look, dude, you've had this number of concussions, like
it's a wrap.
The next one is, who knows what's going to happen. You could have permanent brain damage. I was like, all right. So I didn't play the rest of that year. I didn't play the following year, and I was just like so stir crazy in my dorm. I was like, okay, my academics are under control. I want to play again. But now there's a new coach. So, and he, you know, he didn't know who I was. The team stunk. Like the first season, they won like 7 or 8 games. They stunk. And he's like, you weren't even good enough to play on this team. That's the thing. It's like, what are you going to do for me now? You know? But I remember I would go to his office, and who knows if he even remembers this. I would just go and show up and be like, dude, I want to play.
Yeah.
And he almost like interviewed me of like, well, what are you going to do? I think he was trying to test me. And I was like, I can just be a good practice player. You know, I was like, I know all the other team's offenses. I can like run the other team's plays. Yeah. And I think for him, it's like, okay, like, you know, you're not going to be a problem for me. Your grades are good. Your SAT score was good. So like there might be room for you here. But they sent me to JV. So here I am.
I read that. I didn't even know colleges had JVs.
Most colleges don't. They have like club. But Harvard, they called it JV. So here I'm like 21 years old. And, you know, they play all the prep schools. So we're playing like Notre Dame prep, Tabor Academy, you know, schools are coming from all over the Northeast to play us. But it's like, dude, I got to play against high school kids, you know, like, and for me, and that's why I say I'm thankful for the experience. Like my ego, I couldn't have been able to do that 2 or 3 years before that. Yeah. But it was like, now this was standing in my way of a goal I had. So it's like, okay, I'm going to like, if this is what he wants for me and this is what I need to do to prove, you know, that I belong on the team, I'll do it. So that season I was like, starting on JV, I was going to JV practices, going to the varsity practices. I was playing the JV. It's like I was swinging between the two. Mm-hmm. And dude, like I still remember the satisfaction of like putting the jersey back on, like putting the varsity jersey back on for a game. It's like it's like, and you like, I still, you know, like having that disappointment around not being able to play. It's like, it still bothers me. You know, like I still lay in bed thinking about it. Yeah. But it's like, you know, for people who doubted whether I should have been playing D1 basketball or whether I deserved that spot or should have been going to Harvard or whatever, it was like, I did it twice, dude. Yeah. Like I got recruited there and they sent me to JV and I made it back on the team. So
perseverance.
It's like, like the things I learned from that, like I wouldn't necessarily trade that for, you know, some career that I have all the stats or records or whatever. And like, you know, it would have been nice to win more games, but yeah.
All right. Awesome. Real quick, you mentioned you did join the sidelines as a coach in P2P. Shout out Koki.
Shout out Koki,
P2P.
dude.
Yeah. How was that experience coaching? Because we had a front row seat, and what we noticed is like, oh, this team is coach. Oh
yeah, I'm like coaching my ass off.
No. And it reflected in your players. Dude, it was literally,
Yeah.
because this is a summer league. So, there's the Chuckers, there's a summer league. And then when they played, I was like, oh, y'all are a team.
Thank you.
Good.
No, right.
thanks
And
for-
that's what
thanks
it
for
looked
noticing
like.
that.
Yes.
Yeah. I
First, how did you even get did Koki reach out, or you just something you wanted to do?
So, since we didn't touch on it, I live in Salt Lake City most of the time. We have my wife and I. We have a home. We have a daughter, but we live in Salt Lake City. I come back for work. We're trying to move back here sometime soon, but we stay in the summer. Like we have the 2-year-old. My mom helps us look after the 2-year-old. They get to spend time with her all summer.
Yep.
And we just, we get an Airbnb downtown, and I've been like seeing P2P on Instagram. I remember I knew Koki in high school. Like he was trying to start a league then. That's 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
That he's been
know
trying
that.
to make this come to life.
Yeah.
That's crazy that it's
Where we are, Koki.
Yeah, it's amazing, dude. Like people don't understand. I can't say enough about what a great guy he is and what he does for the community.
We love him here.
But I started seeing on social media. I was like, okay, I'm going to show up to these games. I mean, we used to play pickup at that park. When I was a kid, we played pickup at that park. So I started going to the games last summer. I was like, I think I want to coach one of these teams. I talked to Koki. He's just like complaining they can't find coaches. I was like, I'll do it. I want to coach. And we had the draft. We got the roster.
We were actually at the draft.
You were at the draft. Oh, yeah, that's right. So I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I was drafting.
She was the one who phoning in or texting.
Dude, so literally, this is what a nut I am. Is like, I'm like texting Coach Abreu at Lynn English. I'm like texting Tony Gallo. I'm like, here's the draft.
Tony
list.
Gallo, you'll be getting a phone call from me soon.
Yeah, I'm like, who should I pick here? Do you know any of these kids? Like, who should I not pick? Like, I don't want any jerks on the team.
That's hard to do, like coming in as a new coach.
Yeah, I'm like
You're just
calling.
expected to know who's good. Like it's kind of crazy.
I'm like calling Coach Doyle. So I put like a lot of effort in. And then, it's like you get this group of kids. It's such an interesting, first of all, the league's amazing. The level of competition's amazing. I think it's so well run.
Dope. Absolutely.
I think like the referees, they get so much grief. It's unfortunate. Like those guys, dude, if they're not there, there's no league.
Yeah.
And they're there, sometimes they're a little late, but they're there every night.
Yeah, right.
It's 3-4 hours. They're on their feet. It's hot. They're up and down. Like, I'm so grateful to those guys even. But it's hard because these kids come from all different schools for the most part. They play in different AAU programs. Some of these kids, like, I'm not sure they even ever played organized basketball before, seriously.
Yeah.
So, you're trying to kind of like form a strategy or a team or a rotation. But yeah, dude, I'd be down there like off nights scouting the other teams, trying to, figure out how we're going to get a win. It's hard. It's a hard environment. Playing outdoors is always tricky, but then it's like there's just so much ego. Like I love the kids down there, but it's hard. They they want to be
Everybody
on
wants to
film.
be And we don't help with our cameras.
Show us something.
There's certain nights of the week, or especially towards the playoffs, like you go, there's 3 or 4 cameras lined up. There's photographers under the baskets. Like the stands are packed. It's an amazing environment. It's interesting for me. It's like I have a cousin who's about the age I coach 13 to 15. I have a cousin who's about that age. He lives in Florida, but I play with him every chance I get, a couple times a year. It's just amazing to me to see the level of skill that these kids have. It's like, you're joking about the Euro step, but even their ability to shoot, everyone can handle the ball.
Right.
And then it's like, how can I kind of connect with them and really just get them to put effort, right? Like,
I noticed that they miss what we were taught. Like they're so good at everything, but they're missing
the
like
basic.
Yeah, like the ball movement and like the.
Well, I have my theory. I have a lot of theories. I study basketball, dude. I'm like on YouTube. If you looked at my subscriptions, you'd probably you'd make your own conclusions. But like, it's amazing to me. Like I think there's such an emphasis on skill development and like even specialization at an early age.
Yeah,
where I think almost all the playing they're doing is really like guided and instructed. And I don't think I don't see if there's kids playing pickup in Salem somewhere. I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
Like,
see it.
and I check, dude. Like, I know the
Trust
parks
me.
where people
Oh,
play.
yeah.
It's
We
like,
Just us 30-year-olds.
Old man on Sunday mornings.
Try to get the boys back together.
dude, it is. It's mostly, if you go to the Common, if you go to some of these places we used to play, it's like it's people our age. I think, like you're saying, trying to relive that.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think that there's something they're missing that's just like feel. I think there's a lot of feel. And again, this isn't comparing like the athleticism of kids now. It's just another level. But it was almost hard for me, like to your point, like I assumed if they can do the Euro step and the step back and like this 3-4 dribble combination and the pocket pass, they have all those tools. But yet they, like you're saying, they don't have some of these fundamentals of like how to cut, how to get open, where to be on defense,
move without the ball, getting other people open.
Yeah, and just being a little bit of like being crafty, being sneaky.
Yeah.
Kind of like the art of it. But I think you pick, at least in my memory, it's like you pick a lot of that up. Being at the park, goofing around, being at the park.
Little jersey grabs and all little things.
Experimenting. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure Koki's glad to have you. I'm sure the kids are glad to have you. And
I love to see the clipboard.
oh, he was. We saw him pull up. Oh, he's coaching.
yeah.
He's coaching.
You can see the like I remember there was one point where someone was slacking off. You got to turn over, and you was kind of just like, you got to be the first one back. And that right there was just like, yeah. They don't say that enough to these kids. Like it's
the mindset.
Yeah.
And like we talked about at the start of the conversation. It's like, what are those things that my dad told me? Was he like teaching me the perfect crossover? Was he teaching me the intricacies of a pick and roll? No, but he's just like, if the ball's on the floor, you got to be the first one.
You got to be the first one to get it.
Yeah.
Like if that guy has 3 fouls, like you're going to take a charge and put him on the bench. Like these are the things that I think are like kind of missing from the game a little bit. Yeah.
The chess of it.
The chess.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to play checkers. It's the chess. The game is a little different.
Yeah. And I see kids like, I forget his name. He's a Salem guy, but I think he goes Catholic or Malden Catholic. Oh yeah, he's awesome. But I think of him because he almost feels like a throwback in that way.
Okay.
Just like this like true point guard. There's so many talented kids in the league. Don't get me wrong.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we have reached my favorite part of the show. Yeah. The DJ Bofka set a question. DJ Bofka. Set of questions is a game we play at the end of every episode. It's pretty simple. We give you 2 different choices. You pick either A or B.
Red pill, blue pill.
A or B, that's it. No, no analysis. No. Just pick one.
You can discuss here. We discuss the answers, and then these guys chime in.
Yeah.
It's not so straightforward. They're like, blue. Nope.
No.
Are you sure?
I'm gonna pick both.
I'm gonna pick both. No.
Purple. No.
You're not. You're not picking both. All right. First question is always the same. Jordan or LeBron?
Jordan.
Let's go.
Quick with it.
Because if you that would have negated everything you said for the last hour.
Yeah, Jordan.
They're like, basketball mind. LeBron. We're like, what?
I thought he knew.
I thought he knew basketball. So I think the tally right now is like 75 people pick Jordan. I think
That's pretty good.
6, 7 people pick LeBron.
8.
Well, Boston, it's tough.
It is tough in Boston. Yeah, I feel it.
And no likes LeBron.
I'm not a fan of anybody that's ever been in our way. Yeah. I think it's the same reason why I hate Jimmy Butler, same reason why I hate Giannis.
Which makes sense.
Because they're just in our way.
Yeah.
Every year.
You're the enemy.
Yeah.
I get it.
LeBron in the West.
The NBA is different now. Everybody's best friends now and hanging out in the offseason and stuff.
Shout out Giannis.
Shout out. Why?
Because he was like, I don't want to train with none of you guys.
I don't like y'all. I like that attitude. I don't like y'all.
I want to become friends.
I got to beat you to win. Like, I don't like y'all. All right. Better highlight. Dunking on someone or crossing somebody and making them fall. Better to watch because
Better to watch.
Would you rather?
I think dunks. Huh? No, I think crossovers.
Crossovers?
Yeah. I think crossovers. Yeah.
So my thing's always been as long as he finished the shot.
Obviously,
Oh, you got
when I asked that question, I'm assuming the shots.
Mandatory.
There's so many clips, especially back in the day, where it's like you cross them up. Ooh, next clip. Like, oh, did you make the shot though?
Yeah, right.
They never show that part. But if I was in the game, I would go for a dunk.
Because here's the thing, I was just kind of thinking back. You know, I see dunks now. I'm almost like I've been dunked on. I've seen enough dunks in games. Like, it's hard for me to get excited about a dunk.
Yeah,
if I see someone get crossed over, I see someone get crossed over the park, I'm like, oh man, that's
And now it happens less and less.
Because no one's playing defense.
no one plays defense.
Yeah. Nobody's getting really crossed up out
Like
of it.
hard.
Yeah. Like back in the day, you get a whole highlight tape of like crossovers. And,
I miss it. Honestly, I miss it.
Yeah. Those were
Or like
those were
guys
my
get turned
favorites.
around.
Yeah.
I know.
And I like when I watched YouTube videos was really to improve my game and to learn something from it. I couldn't learn from a duck in a video, you know? Like I was
That
like,
ship sailed early in my life.
I'm not gonna be able to do that, but I'm gonna see if,
6'6",
see if I can copy this crossover mid game and see if I can, you know.
Yeah. All right. Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown?
Tatum, dude. I would have had a different answer 3-4 years ago. I think Tatum is. I've been saying this a couple of years. I think he's the best player. I think he can be the best player in the league. I think
so
he has
too.
moments where he's the best player in the league.
Yeah.
I think Jaylen Brown, he's like a little more consistent. He does things on both sides of the ball, which I love.
Yeah.
But like to me, I think to get over the top, you need a guy who's a closer. And I think Tatum's a closer. I think, you know, clearly, like see what he did in the playoffs this year. Like you need a guy like that to win it all. Yeah.
It's my guy.
It's your guy.
Boy.
He's amazing to watch, dude.
Yeah,
he's definitely
so
fun.
skilled. His size, his strength. It's
His
like
bag of tricks is just like
Duke alum.
there you go.
Duke alum.
Alum mentality.
All right.
he's the only like Duke player. Last episode shit on Zion, but I can never shit on Jason Tatum because he's a Celtic. Only him and
so
Kyrie
easy.
are the only players that actually like Duke players that I was, because I'm a big UNC fan. We always had this rivalry since kids, and now there's not many Duke players I like.
Not many. It sucks because like he has Jordan, so like how you can't.
It's tough to compete with.
Right, it's like,
Carter.
You got Christian Laettner. Come on.
hey, we won 2 titles, man.
Exactly.
Wait, who do you win his titles with? At Duke.
I do, yeah.
Yeah,
thought
he
you were
won.
in the NBA.
No.
You got an all-star, though, on Atlanta. Shout
Did
out
he
back.
really?
Yeah. I don't know how.
I'm at the
but
fact
he
check
became,
that. I don't believe that.
Became an all-star in Atlanta.
All right. Salem
Right?
question.
Salem question.
Salem question. King's roast beef or Bill and Bob's roast beef?
Kings.
Okay.
Yeah, Kings.
I haven't been in King's in so long.
They changed the owners.
I think they're
Yeah,
new owners, but still. That was always a legendary
It
spot.
was.
Especially because I live on North. I used to live on North Street, so it's
Yeah.
like it was right there. And I used to love
That's
it.
probably
I like-
why I don't go there. I'm no
How did you guys used to get free
Yeah,
Free
Kings used
on
to hook
wins.
it up.
hook it
Yeah.
up like after
Yeah,
games
I used to
and
love
stuff?
that.
Big wins.
Yeah.
We're all going to Kings.
Yep.
I
Whatever you want.
don't drink anymore, but most of the time I was having Bill and Bob's. I was pretty drunk.
Yeah, right.
So it's
Absolutely.
like I never felt good.
My
the
girl was
next
like,
day.
my girl, it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock. She's like, you want to do Bill and Bob's? I'm like, at 8:30 at night? Like, why so early? Like, you don't go there before 11.
The fraps,
Yeah.
though.
All right.
By the way, it's 97. He was an all-star.
Oh, look at
Christian
that.
Laettner.
Shout out to Christian Laettner. It must have been a slow year.
97.
Jesus Christ.
Forget him.
East was probably pretty weak at that back then. All right. Playing basketball outside or inside?
Are we talking about a game practice? So see, I'm screwing up already. I'm like,
No, you're good. You can, and
It's however you want.
however you want to answer the question.
What's your favorite?
I think I know Pat said this, but it's like it's pretty hard to compete with a game under the lights. I think like for me, where I am in my life, my career now, it's like I can still get a little bit of that. You know, an outdoor game is going to bring a crowd. You know, I play in these men's leagues.
I was gonna say, you
rec
played
center.
a few men's leagues.
I do. When I'm back in Utah, I play in a couple. I play in a tournament every June. That's up in Wisconsin. I play with a good friend of mine from college.
We got to get you in Sweat for Sweat, the basketball tournament here.
I know. This year
He was there, right?
I wasn't there.
Oh,
and I
no,
didn't
I
go.
wasn't.
Actually, I ran a marathon in September.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. My bad.
So I was training for it. I told, I feel terrible because I told Nick, I was like, I got to play this year. I want to play in it.
Yeah.
I want to play in Salem High.
Yeah.
And then my wife asked, a friend asked us to train in this marathon. I was like, I can't get injured.
It looks
I can't
like
get injured right before
going on is going to be at Salem High every year, so you'll have
there we go.
a chance next year. I'm still mad he didn't ask me to play, but whatever.
You didn't want to play.
I didn't want to. I wasn't gonna say no, but it would have been nice to be
It's like
asked.
someone asking you to do a
You said
marathon.
no before he asked. That's the thing. On this podcast, and me and Josh was like, "Oh, we're still playing." I
forget.
And Bo was like, "I'm retired." So
I'm done. Bad leg.
So then he hits me up to join the team.
Whatever, guys.
Excludes Melvin.
I figured I can't remember everything I say on this damn show. All right, where the hell did I leave off? Getting close to the holidays, so Christmas or Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving.
Easy.
I think that's easy.
Elaborating. sometimes someone throw a curveball and we still likes
we have to
presents
do
and
a
shit. You know?
certain-
Yeah. It's like
The
Christmas.
food, man, it's just like,
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
think, you reach a certain age, you realize.
Like good.
Speaking of food, you spent, I believe, if my research is correct, you spent time on both coasts.
Yeah.
Better food, East Coast or West Coast?
East Coast, for sure.
Oh, okay.
New York is really tough to beat. There's nowhere I've been anywhere in the world.
I heard New
Maybe-
York Chinese food is the greatest everywhere. Anywhere.
Probably. I mean, dude, if you think about the concentration of certain populations
Yeah.
in New York City,
Facts.
it's like,
That is true.
like,
Big point.
yeah. And then I just love, I come home, I just gorge myself on seafood. West Coast is good too, but it's just different.
Yeah, I bet. I never really had.
I feel like West Coast would be healthier.
It's lighter. It's it's fresher.
Yeah.
But
Mexican food, West Coast is probably way better.
It's way better.
Yeah,
That's
it's
true.
amazing.
Yeah, right?
yeah.
You're in Mexico, literally. Cali
used to
was
be
Mexico.
Mexico.
So
You're
many
still
Mexican
there.
spots up here.
I know.
Yeah, but they don't probably compete with that. So
Obviously
Oh,
not.
true.
I want to try it.
Hip hop question: Nas or Jay Z?
Jay-Z. I had a feeling this one was going to come. So I was talking to a lot of people about it the past week or so. But yeah, someone,
How do you predict the Nas Jay Z question?
I just had dude, we're of a certain age.
Yeah.
Nas is still
Honestly,
there.
that's exactly what I was thinking. And I did a deep dive on your IG, and I was looking and you were quoting 444. I was like,
I love that album.
you're not quoting. I love that album too. It's one of my favorites.
Love that album.
Yeah. I mean, Nas is what he's doing is amazing, unprecedented.
Nice little run he has. Yeah, I like
Right
it.
Was that 5 in 2 years? 3
Yeah,
years?
I got tired of the last two though. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, all right, we get it.
6?
6 albums,
Yeah.
2 trilogies.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
It's good.
And they're all good too.
Yeah,
it
that's
actually made me change my perspective and pick Nas.
so now you're Nas. See,
Now
this
I'm
is
Nas.
why I was asking. I was like, guys, am I screwing up here if I pick Jay-Z?
No, because I was Jay-Z for a long time.
Forever.
444 almost put him over.
But that's like Jay Z's pretty much retired. Like he's not.
He is
making-
retired.
He dropped one verse, and God and everybody just shit themselves. So
God did.
Maybe this
A man
inspires
that-
him to go on his own run.
He's not going
Watching
to.
Beyonce on
His
tour.
his wife just made $3
I know,
billion
but
off tour. He's not
if he-
doing nothing.
But he's so competitive with Nas still killing it. Beyonce on tour.
mean-
he probably misses the.
Wait, so it's Hit Boy, right? Is
Yeah,
he-
Hit Boy,
yeah.
yeah.
I think that's what Jay-Z, because he's
He's like-
always worked with produce he kind of had
Pharrell
the Just
and
Blaze,
Timbaland.
Pharrell.
he got Timberland, bro.
Kanye.
Swiss Beats. He used to have the powerhouses always are working on his album.
Yeah, so Jay-Z's got to kind of find his count. I think that's a lot of what's bringing this out
Oh
of
yeah,
Nas.
he needs to find
Maybe,
his
I don't
boy.
know.
You know what I found out too?
did?
Nas was the first one to have multiple producers on one album.
Oh really?
And that's what changed the game.
Illmatic.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's what changed it. Everybody used to have one
Josh
person.
is coming with
It
the
was
facts today.
I think it was Illmatic.
Illmatic, yeah.
Oh yeah. He definitely
That makes
did.
sense. Yeah, you're right.
Everybody else had this is my producer, and we're
No,
only
right?
doing
'Cause
that.
they always the DJs, Eric B and
I was just listening
Rakim.
to so nothing's musically has come out and it's inspired me the last couple. So I've been just listening to random shit. So I was
Yeah,
listening.
same.
I went to my Michael Jackson phase a couple days ago, and I
I listened to Jackson 5.
was out Thriller at the gym yesterday. And Thriller and it's weird. Thriller is literally Quincy Jones the whole time. So that's you're probably right there.
All
right.
He's a,
Facts.
Batman or Superman?
Batman, probably.
okay.
Yeah.
He's like Jordan. He gets always
Batman is winning.
You know what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Batman.
honestly, Batman gets picked a lot. I think he's just cooler.
I think
you
he's
know?
just more relatable.
And he's a human.
Yeah. Everybody feels
I'm
like
a
they
human
could be,
billionaire.
Well, do you think it's because we're a certain age and Christian Bale had his...
Thing is, I found out, especially
Well, Christian Bale's not my Batman. Michael
Who's
Keaton's my
yours?
Batman.
Wow, okay.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton's
and
my
I'm
Batman.
I'm younger.
Yeah, but we also watched it all together. It's like, but
You didn't have a choice, bro. I put the VHS in. Wow, VHS, crazy.
Wow, yeah.
Wow.
I realized when we were younger, those superheroes were like God figures. Like, yeah. Like, I want to be like Superman.
Yeah.
But once you get older, you enjoy Batman more.
Because of his flaws.
More relatable.
Exactly.
I can be
Wow.
him. Everybody thinks they're Batman.
Yeah.
So if I get enough money and
I become a
work on
billionaire.
hand-to-hand combat,
And train around the world.
I could probably be Batman.
But you could never be Superman.
Yeah, he's fallible, right?
Yeah.
alien.
All right. Couple outside courts. Forest River or High Street?
High Street, baby. Dude, so speaking of Brayson just posted himself at High Street.
High Street?
And I was like, wow, man. Because that's, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, that's where, Coach Hanscom would take us.
Okay.
And this is like early 2000s.
Really?
The court's like all slanted, one rim's all
Me and
screwed
Baldwin,
up.
shout out Baldwin, had a lot of battles on High Street.
I've had a lot of
corner.
battles at High Street.
High
Definitely.
Street legendary.
Yeah.
All right, what's next? All right. Since we have a point guard here, we might as well ask some point guard questions.
Okay, here we go.
All time, not right now, but all time. Chris Paul or Jason Kidd?
Jason Kidd.
I love Jason.
And can I say why?
Yes,
Okay.
Absolutely.
I wasn't sure of the rules still. For me, like, I don't know how their stats line up, legacy, whatever else, but like Jason Kidd was just so formative and like the way he saw the floor, the way he advanced the ball.
Yeah.
Like, I think Chris Paul is so skilled. He's amazing, obviously. But there was just something about Jason Kidd's style to me as a kid that was just like, I don't know, like inspiring, or there's something about it that I want to emulate, like a lot of the one-handed bounce passes, a lot of the no-look passes.
So smart.
It was
So smart.
It
He
looked
could do
fun.
literally everything on the court. He was good at everything.
He was a triple double without trying to get a triple double.
Yeah.
And that's
When it was
Remember-
hard to get one. Now you can get one by
Like,
accident.
Older Jason Kidd still getting like 9 rebounds.
on the
Exactly,
Mavs.
man. Just like knew where to be.
It's like
Yeah.
the-
So
Before-
I'm saying, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, you haven't seen it till like Russell Westbrook get like a guard getting this many
Yeah.
rebounds.
So I was reading an article a couple days ago where they called Jason Kidd was actually the first like high school phenom.
Yes.
Like literally,
He was in
like
the
he
book.
was LeBron before. Yo, I remember reading that book when I was a kid.
Slam?
Something like that. He was the first one to like
the one there.
everybody was talking about. Everybody saying he was going to be the next guy. He was like LeBron before LeBron. Jason Kidd was.
I think he was
facts.
from Oakland, maybe.
Yeah, he's the Bay Area, I believe.
really,
Yeah, I think he was like 6'4".
Yep.
Well, this is a different. So this is another thing that Coach Blakeney told me. I don't know if he's going to be mad that he might not even listen to this. But I think he played Steve Nash. He was at Duke. I think they might have played Santa Clara at the tournament, or like he had played Steve Nash in college.
Oh, really?
And he made some comment of like, Jeremy's like Steve Nash, but more athletic. And this time, Steve Nash was like the MVP of the NBA. And I was like, what is Coach talking about?
He believes in his guys, man.
Yeah, right.
It's the coach you want. All right.
Yeah.
Shout outs. Any shout outs? This is when you just shout out anybody you want.
shout out,
Shout out.
Man,
Shout out to
pressure. I didn't expect
P2P.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Koki. Man, all those guys I talked about.
Absolutely.
Like, I've just been thinking back. Like, you sent those questions over, and I've been thinking about, all those guys. Like, I never thought of myself as a star, rock star, or whatever.
You're Salem High royalty.
But like,
Legit.
the way I thought about it back then is just like, I'm just carrying this tradition. Like, I have 4 years here. I'm just going to carry the torch, and I just need to keep it lit for like the next group to carry on. You talked about Antonio. You talked about Nick, Chris Hansen.
Another guy. We'll be getting a phone call from me soon.
Shout out Chris Hansen.
Dude, this is another thing people don't talk about is like, we went on that streak, and maybe people do talk about it. I'm just not part of those conversations, but like, then the next year, John Tobanek was that league MVP.
AT, another phone call from me.
Yes.
And then Chris and Nick, I don't know, like, obviously those guys were all-stars, if not MVPs.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just our class. Like, they kept it going.
Absolutely.
So, guys on either side of that tradition, and like, I don't know, I'm excited about Salem basketball right now. And
Yeah. I don't know. It's like since COVID, the pandemic, there's been a resurgence of sports in general.
I believe
and it's
so.
like a resurgence.
We're
I'm
stuck
even
inside.
watching baseball again. There's a resurgence of just like basketball. We're back outside hooping. We're back freaking men's league signing up and doing.
Yeah.
It's just like a.
And my paper of the 05 team here. Eric Garza.
Yeah. You guys are the first literally like the
Danny
first
Frazier,
class.
you're next, buddy.
I didn't hear about the class before. I was too young.
Yeah.
No, honestly, yeah.
So you guys are the first. In my head, it's like that's the first.
You guys are
class.
the first.
Then
comes
Nick Lanier's
Nick
class,
Lin,
and Chris
and then,
Hansen, and then
Yeah.
goes on Max.
Well, I mean,
and all them.
for me, it was like, again, we talked about kind of keeping this like history mythology alive.
What we're here for.
Yeah, it's like one reason I DM'd you, you know,
A bunch of times. I'm sorry.
2 years ago. I'm like, dude, let me come on. Like,
My bad. It was a couple years ago. I'm not gonna lie to you.
stories,
It was
dude.
early. It was early.
a must have.
All right. So clearly, what we've noticed is that we could probably talk basketball with you forever.
Yeah.
But we gotta leave some for the next time we have you here.
Shout out
So, Eric,
Sims.
thank you very much for showing and coming
so
us,
much.
educating the shit out of us about. This is exactly why we made the show. It's to talk about the lore of Salem sports, and we're not just gonna do Salem. We'll I have a couple Lynn guys and people. We'll have you guys sprinkled in too, but mainly this is
Gotta remind people
Salem
like,
pride.
how ill Salem sports was
Absolutely.
and needs to get.
We'll get back to
Can
it.
I add one more shout out on that?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Is like, I think for me growing up, like knowing about Rick Brunson,
yes.
knowing about Scooney as a kid, and you talked about like the public private school thing, but like knowing that, okay, this is someone from the same town as me. I
made
could
it.
watch those guys on TV, right?
Yeah.
Like it felt like it was real enough to touch. Like it made me believe a little bit like I can do it, right?
Yeah.
Like I can follow in those footsteps and not necessarily reach the same heights. Obviously, they're in a class of their own, but like I can strive for it.
Right. It's
And
achievable.
It's achievable, and it's like I go see them like P2P. There's kids who are there and they could be doing the same thing. It's just like if they could get that next push or like understand the next, like you were
absolutely.
saying, the chess of it,
Exactly.
the mental side of it, and like really what it all entails to get to that next level. Like they're there,
Yeah.
Again, thank you for joining us.
Let's go.
REG co-host, Sanchez co-host. I'm Melly Man. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Take that. Let's get it.
806 The Show is a proud member of the Vibe Entertainment family, so make sure you follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as Facebook and the Gram. Leave us some comments, hit us with some likes, show us some love. You already know. It's 806 The Show.
806 The Show, Take that. 806 The Show.